Hello LU fans! As many of you who frequent the Dark Flame Universe forums might be aware, I spend far too much time on them, and considering I'm guessing most of you have probably found this YouTube video from posts I've made on the forums, I'm guessing most of you will be aware of the fact that I spend far too much time on them. But one thing which I've begun to feel going around these forums is that a lot of people have only started following DLU recently, and so you may be missing some of the long and fairly frequently painful backstory which comes with DLU. So that's what this video is going to be about today. It's going to be explaining how DLU has come from some fairly disorganised and, in almost all cases now, closed projects. So, for our first stop, I want to take us back to the original Sourceforge forums. Now, this is where most of the original work on DLU, or rather the projects which were to become DLU, was conducted. So here, I just searched up the name P.W. Jones, because P.W. Jones was one of the original members of the group, and he had a very important role in the fact that he was the one who originally captured data packets sent from LEGO Universe by using a program known as Wireshark. Now, what Wireshark does is it captures data or information sent across your network. So when you log on to a website, your computer has to send out a request via the network to get information from that website, like the HTML or CSS files which load the page. And what P.W. Jones did was captured these files, or captured these packets. You can see an example of some of these packets here. He captured these from LU, and it was this work which has sort of spawned all of the projects with replicating servers. If it weren't for those packets, it would have been quite a lot longer. So you've got some of the original forum members and very active people early on here. P.W. Jones, Humanoid. You may recognise Humanoid if you know much about LUR, because that is a project run by Humanoid and another early member, LCDR. I'm probably getting those letters the wrong way around, but so this is our first stop. The project started off, everything was good, people were happy. Then it went downhill. So this was brilliant to see at around the time I actually created a forum account here, rather than just watching from the outside. LUNI server project closes forever. That was brilliant to see. So this is Rafa. Rafa is the main person on the Sourceforge, at least in the early days of LUNI. So he was the administrator and debatably team leader, although it's important to note that he only did a bit of the work on this. He was not necessarily an integral part of the entire program's development, and his work eventually was rewritten because of server vulnerabilities in it. So this is the brilliant news that LUNI shuts down. And why does LUNI shut down? Because TimTech. Now, TimTech will come on to his website later on, but it is this confrontation and standoff between Rafa and TimTech which has caused all this. So this begins when TimTech decides that he's going to, on his website, TimTech Software, that he's going to post the LUNI server. And this sparks a big confrontation between Rafa and TimTech. Rafa posts a removal or takedown notice on this and tries to get into legal arguments with TimTech. This goes back and forth. Rafa attempts to sort of prove that he's in charge and sets up a poll which I can see here. Who's right, who's the liar, Rafa, TimTech, nobody. And you've got some results here. However, these results were then far from clear-cut. On all of the polls which I've seen, they're right beneath, then loads and loads of debates about, well, is this actually a legitimate poll, or has Rafa, or has TimTech been creating multiple accounts on this poll? And so because both of them were accused of doing this, I'm not going to say they did it, then a lot of people argued that, and they would both argue to the other person, that the result was invalid. So this is where the original Looney and the Sourceforge, sort of around the time I started, this is how everything slowly began to go wrong. Now enter the version of Looney that more of you may be familiar with. This is TimTech software. So this was the website which originally set off the whole problem. Now, as you may have read at the top, they've moved at this point. That wasn't there originally. So this is the page on which TimTech set up his LUNI page, and whilst I don't necessarily agree with everything he did in the run-up to this page got a lot of people involved and kept a lot of people involved, probably far better than the Sourceforge forums ever did, purely because it was, and whether or not this is good or this is a fault, most people will say that TimTech, whilst he may not have been a brilliant programmer, he did get a lot of people involved in this site, although many people will also argue that he did it for ad revenues. And I'm not going to go into saying who was in the right and who was in the wrong, but just be aware everyone will disagree on this, and I'm trying to make this video without triggering anyone. So, note here, move to LUNI server. So, that's this page. Answer the call, save imagination. So, when I originally started looking at LUNI, it was because of a user known as Knight of Faith on the LEGO message boards forums all those years ago. Now, he was involved in trying to mediate between TimTech and Rafa, something which ended up failing, but he also suggested to TimTech that they should port and move the website and all of the contents, the site of LUNI, the main site of it, to here. So this is a new website. This is luniserver.com, and it was, as you can see, was sort of going up in improvement in sort of ease of use and such like for new players. So you can see very good graphics, etc. Certainly compared to the Sourceforge forums, this is slowly getting more and more easy for new people to join in. Yeah, far easier. Lovely grammar there. But like all debatably possibly good, possibly not good things, it came to an end. So here, this is the forums page. And now we've got some bad news. Forums closing and forums closed. TimTech, in a response to this, and quite possibly, says the cynic, trying to get more people to visit his website, then opens an LUNI veteran hub, again on his website. And it's basically just a comment section. And this is where TimTech sort of diverges from LEGO Universe, but also, and LUNI projects, but also, it's about this point, or actually a fair bit earlier than this, that DLU originally begins to appear. Because back when I was actually, okay, admittedly not very active, but when I still visited the luniserver.com forums, there were references, generally not a lot more than that, to DLU, along with some people posting apologies, other people not posting apologies, some people trying to get TimTech to post apologies, and general arguments back and forth. But there were hints at this thing called DLU. But the only way of getting into DLU at that time was to provide some meaningful development on the LUNI server. So a perfect example of that is Zyphos, who says that originally he joined a chat with Darwin, who jokingly at the time asked him to be in DLU. Zyphos didn't get the joke and just said yes please. A little while later he was actually asked to join, and that time it wasn't a joke, and he's one of the developers now, and I'm pretty sure he's made posts on the DLU forums as a moderator, or Mythran. So I couldn't find the original hints, as they were, at DLU's existence, but I instead just found you a couple of sites referencing to it, because since I'd last been on the forums, they'd set up a DLU subforum, which was good because currently, or prior to that point, all the discussions about DLU had sort of they'd been all over the place, and there'd just been the occasional reference. So it's nice to have that now. And so you've got these references to DLU. This is another example of someone who's moved on. Johnny, generally also known as Kuzich Johnny, I've certainly seen him as that on the original TimTech comments page. Very active and important developer, and was one of the people who made a server. Down at the bottom of this page you can see other sites. Now these were quite often other servers, and you can see, alright, TimTech, he's removing the server from the widget. And basically Johnny created Jarlus, one of the more actively developed servers, LUNI server sort of derivatives, and yeah, as he says here, he joined DLU, and you can, I think off the top of my head, he's made about 2 or 3 posts on the DLU forums, because he's far more active as a developer. But he also owns a Discord channel as well, So I've now gone through some of the story, but can I just say it is very much only a tiny bit of the story. There are other parts to this. So for example, how did DLU itself start? How did developers get together? Well, there was a group known as LU Refugees, yet another LUR, there do seem to be several, but that group called LU Refugees was headed by Darwin, and it was that group, from people who were sort of disenfranchised and tired with everything going wrong with LUNI, that originally led us to have DLU. So I just recorded an attempt at this video and spent about 20 minutes, it felt like, saying go over to the forums and thank the DLU team. But don't really need to spend that long saying it. There is a thread, I believe, congratulations to the DLU team. So I'd recommend posting there, but really just show your support for them. I was originally going to say comment at the bottom of this video, but they will not see that. So come over to the Dark Flame Universe page and show your thanks. But for now, I've been very sort of gloom and doom and everything's gone so badly for this video. So I've come to the front page and the Dark Flame Universe, and we've got their successes cycling through now. You've got achievements, which is brilliant. You've got missions, which long time didn't look like it was gonna, well, they looked a very far off prospect. You've got a basic form of building. You've got stromlings, and it was a major thing when even static, non-AI NPCs were introduced back in the days of Uni. So they've come on very far. And you've got another one of a spaceship, because Neil apparently really likes his spaceships, and missions and NPCs. So this is just to remind you that so much work went into this. Even as it says up there, they haven't made a big deal about it, but speed chat now exists. So they haven't made a huge deal out of this, or not as much as they should have. But development is coming on strong, and to show that development is coming on strong, but also to show that perhaps you shouldn't expect things to go too fast, and so not to, as Kitty, one of the ex-LUNI moderator and very active person on this these forums would say, don't overhype yourselves, because whilst it's very good to get hyped, the development will still take a long time. They can't let too many people into beta, partially, or even alpha, either of them, partially because there are weaknesses in the server, as I'll show you in the next video, but also just because they're not producing, they haven't released yet, and this isn't a release of a game to play. It's a release of a game which is currently in development. So they're not looking for players, they're looking for testers. And that's just something that I want to make clear, because I know a lot of you really want to play the game. I mean, I myself do. But there is a major difference, as I've discovered in loads of coding projects in the past, between a player and a tester. But now I've gone the sort of don't expect too much, everything's going badly, talk out of the way, I thought I should show you a little bit from some various, from one particular DLU stream, and I would recommend, the guy's name is, I believe, Jumbo Gauge on YouTube, and I would recommend checking out. He's so far uploaded 2 streams which he's done from Twitch to YouTube, and they are pretty worth checking out. So thank you for watching the video so far, and I will leave you with a couple of clips of actual DLU testing and development. Thank you. I know you're probably wondering why the weird guy is still talking, but I really felt I should not only do what I'd promised Jumbo Gauge, the person who's made these videos, and sort of credit him, but also compliment him on the videos, because, okay, I looked at the stream, I didn't expect them to be particularly enjoyable. I thought, okay, I'll be getting some DLU footage, I'll be able to put it into my video. But as you'll find out, there's more than just footage in here. I've included audio because it made me laugh. It made me laugh repeatedly, and even when I was listening to sections over and over again to try and edit them exactly into what I wanted. So I'm going to just say a big check him out, because it's very good chat, or at least the 2 videos I listened to, which were his 2 streams he uploaded, I really enjoyed. And he also did a very good job of editing what was an hour-long stream down, so that there aren't any boring bits in his streams. And when I was creating this compilation, I nearly wasn't needed, because he'd done the editing so well beforehand. The only other thing I'd like to say is, you may be able to see a pattern in some of the clips that I've put up. The pattern's there for a reason. Please get hyped. And I am amazed at what DLU have done. They have done an amazing job. As I said, I was there throughout LUNI, and I didn't think that this project was ever going to get anywhere, and they have made it get somewhere. So, a massive congratulations to them. But I want you to be hyped. Please don't get overhyped on this.
It's really slow.
You gotta give it time.
It takes a while.
Yeah, it's a little laggy.
It's very laggy.
You have to give it a little bit.
I want 2 quests. I want 2 quests. Hey, saying I want 2 quests makes it work. I can't move yet, so. Ooh, that's smooth though.
Yeah, wait until your imagination reaches something other than 6.
So, yeah, just wait. You just have to wait. You just have to wait.
You just gotta give it a second.
It takes a second. We need to build a wall. And it's just taking a second.
Alright, let's not rush.
Yeah, me either. I'm not gonna rush it either. Just waiting.
Go.
Jeez, it goes so freaking high with the fire hydrant.
245 people died.
Good God, mate!
And 245 of those 245 people were crates.
Hello, Darwin.
Who are you playing as?
I'm playing as you! Darwin and Animator.
Use your moderating powers and take
My
over the
moderating
server.
powers. I'm taking over this server.